The future of food explores two innovative solutions to meet the growing global demand for sustainable, ethical, and healthy protein sources: lab-grown meat and plant-based alternatives. The documentary will compare and contrast these cutting-edge technologies, exploring their environmental impact, nutritional benefits, ethical considerations, and future potential in revolutionizing the global food system. Core themes. First, let's talk about sustainability and environmental impact.
The environmental footprint of traditional animal agriculture is immense, contributing to deforestation, water depletion, and greenhouse gas emissions.
Lab-grown meat and plant-based alternatives promise to reduce the carbon footprint and resource use associated with traditional meat production. Now let's move on to ethical considerations.
Animal welfare is a key issue driving the development of lab-grown meat and plant-based alternatives.
Both technologies aim to address the ethical concerns of factory farming by reducing animal slaughter and suffering. Health and nutrition. The potential health benefits of lab-grown meat and plant-based diets are quite significant. These alternatives can lead to lower risks of chronic diseases, such as heart disease and cancer.
When we compare the nutritional profiles, plant-based alternatives and lab-grown meat each have their own strengths. Plant-based options often boast high fiber content and essential vitamins, while lab-grown meat can offer similar protein quality to traditional meat but with better fat profiles and fewer contaminants.
It's fascinating to see how these new food technologies can potentially transform our diets and improve our overall health. Technological innovation. Lab-grown meat is produced through a process known as cellular agriculture. Essentially, muscle tissue is cultivated in a lab setting, which involves growing animal cells in a controlled environment to form muscle fibers.
The science behind this is truly groundbreaking. By using cells from a single animal, we can produce large quantities of meat without the need for raising and slaughtering livestock. This method not only reduces animal suffering, but also has a smaller environmental footprint.
Plant-based alternatives, on the other hand, utilize proteins from sources like soy, pea, and rice. Companies like Impossible Foods and Beyond Meat are at the forefront, perfecting the technology to mimic the taste and texture of real meat.
These innovations are changing the food landscape, making it possible to enjoy our favorite dishes with a fraction of the environmental impact.
Consumer perception and market trends. How do consumers perceive these new food technologies? It's a mixed bag, really. While some are excited about the sustainability and ethical benefits, others are hesitant due to unfamiliarity and skepticism.
Marketing lab-grown and plant-based products presents its own set of challenges. Companies need to educate consumers about the benefits and safety of these alternatives, which is no small feat.
Despite these challenges, the rise of alternative protein markets is undeniable. Major food companies are playing a crucial role in shaping consumer habits, making these products more accessible and mainstream.
It's clear that as more people become aware of the environmental and health benefits, the demand for these innovative food solutions will continue to grow. The future of food is definitely evolving.
Key locations. Lab-grown meat companies. Memphis Meats in the USA is one of the pioneers in lab-grown meat production. Mosa Meat in the Netherlands is a leading European company developing cultured beef, EAT. Just in Singapore is known for their cultured chicken and the world's first cultured meat product approved for sale. Plant-based food companies. Impossible Foods in the USA is known for their plant-based burgers that mimic the taste and texture of beef. Beyond Meat in the USA is a major player in plant-based protein products like burgers, sausages, and ground beef. Farms and industrial meat production. Footage of large-scale meat production facilities emphasizes the environmental and ethical challenges. Sustainable farming practices and small-scale ethical farming alternatives are showcased. Personal stories.
As a meat eater, I've always enjoyed traditional meat, but now I'm considering switching to plant-based or lab-grown meat. My journey of discovery, trial, and eventual decision-making highlights the challenges and motivations that drive dietary changes.
As an innovator, I work with key players in the field of food technology, like scientists from Memphis Meats or Impossible Foods. We're discussing the potential of lab-grown and plant-based meat to revolutionize the food system. There's also the story of a young entrepreneur who switched from traditional animal farming to growing plant-based proteins or developing lab-grown meat.
As an environmentalist, I advocate for sustainable food systems and see the potential of alternative proteins to mitigate the environmental impacts of traditional farming. From my perspective, lab-grown meat and plant-based alternatives align with global sustainability goals.
As an ethical consumer, I've stopped eating animal-based products for ethical reasons and have transitioned to plant-based alternatives or lab-grown meat. I also know a farmer who is transitioning away from factory farming to more sustainable and ethical practices, discussing the challenges of adapting to new food technologies.
Cinematic approach. Visual contrast. The documentary will juxtapose traditional meat production with lab-grown and plant-based alternatives, showcasing the environmental destruction of factory farming and the innovative solutions offered by alternative proteins. Aerial shots of vast cattle farms versus the clean, high-tech laboratories of lab-grown meat production facilities. B-roll of consumers trying plant-based meats in restaurants, preparing lab-grown meat dishes, and the excitement of new food trends. Personal narratives. Personal stories, whether from consumers, entrepreneurs, or farmers, will humanize the discussion, making the abstract concepts of food science and sustainability more relatable. Slow-motion shots of burgers sizzling on the grill, plant-based meats being sliced, and lab-grown steaks being prepared, giving the audience a sensory experience of these new foods. Expert contributions.
Food scientists and engineers are at the forefront of this revolution. They are pioneering cellular agriculture and plant-based food technology. They explain that lab-grown meat is produced from animal cells in a bioreactor, while plant-based meat is engineered to mimic animal meat in taste and texture.
Environmental activists also weigh in. They provide insights on how meat production contributes to climate change and how lab-grown and plant-based alternatives could mitigate those effects. They compare water usage, land requirements, and carbon emissions between traditional animal farming and these new food technologies.
Nutritionists and health experts are comparing the nutritional profiles of lab-grown meat, plant-based alternatives, and conventional meat. They discuss how these new foods can address rising health concerns related to cholesterol, heart disease, and obesity.
The political and economic landscape. Government regulations play a crucial role in this evolving industry. They oversee the regulation of lab-grown meat and plant-based alternatives. There are ongoing legal and political debates over the approval of lab-grown meat for sale, labeling laws, and the potential for subsidies or incentives to promote these technologies. Market dynamics are also shifting. There's growing investment in alternative proteins, and a competitive market is emerging between plant-based and lab-grown meat products. Major food companies like Nestlé and Tyson are investing in both lab-grown meat and plant-based alternatives, signaling a significant shift in global food markets. Future potential. The promise of lab-grown meat is immense. As it moves from small-scale production to mass-market accessibility, questions arise. Will it become more affordable than traditional meat? Could it eventually replace animal agriculture altogether? Plant-based alternatives are already making a significant impact on the market. Products like the Impossible Burger and Beyond Meat are becoming mainstream. What role will these products play in feeding the growing global population? As the world's population grows, lab-grown and plant-based meats could contribute significantly to global food security. They have the potential to reduce hunger and alleviate the strain on natural resources. The ethical dilemma: lab-grown meat. While lab-grown meat reduces the need for slaughtering animals, it still involves animal cells. Does it solve the ethical problem, Or is it just another form of animal exploitation? Plant-based alternatives. Are plant-based products truly ethical? The use of monocultures, pesticides, and farming practices can still have an environmental toll. Visual style and editing. Slow motion sequences. A slow motion shot of plant-based meat sizzling in a pan to emphasize its texture and appeal, paired with shots of lab-grown meat being prepared in a pristine kitchen environment. Time-lapse sequences. Time-lapse footage of plant-based ingredients being processed or lab-grown meat growing in bioreactors, highlighting the precision and technological innovation behind these new food sources. Closing thoughts and call to action. The future of food is evolving. Lab-grown meat and plant-based alternatives are not just a trend, they are a necessary step toward a more sustainable, ethical, and healthy food system. The choice is ours. The future of our planet and our food depends on it. End credits. Acknowledgements to the innovators, companies, and experts featured in the documentary. Links to relevant organizations, websites, and resources on lab-grown meat and plant-based alternatives. Conclusion. This documentary will provide a nuanced exploration of the growing food revolution, comparing the potential of lab-grown meat and plant-based alternatives to reshape our food systems. By highlighting the environmental, ethical, and health benefits, we'll educate viewers on the transformative potential of these innovations, offering a hopeful vision for a sustainable and ethical food future.